3,000 years. Think about that. 3,000 years of empires, of conquerors, of incredible golden ages. Today, we're going to try to do the impossible. Condense the epic story of India's imperial history into just a few minutes. So let's just dive right in.
So how in the world do you even do that? Well, we're going to do it by focusing on the titans, the major turning points, and the legacies that really shaped the subcontinent. This is going to be a whirlwind tour, so seriously, buckle up.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're starting way back, over 2,000 years ago, with the Mauryans, and we're going to fly through time all the way to the British Raj, charting the rise and fall of these great powers that literally forged the path to modern India. Our story kicks off with the very first great unifiers of India, the ones who managed to forge these vast, sprawling empires from what was essentially a collection of scattered kingdoms. So picture this. It's the 4th century BCE. Alexander the Great's army decides to pack up and head home, and suddenly there's this huge power vacuum. And who steps in to fill it? A man named Gupta Maurya. He seizes the opportunity and builds the first truly pan-Indian empire. It was a legacy that would hit its absolute peak under his grandson, Ashoka.
Now, the story of Ashoka is just incredible. It's a tale of profound transformation. He started his reign as this absolutely ruthless conqueror, expanding his empire through incredibly brutal warfare. But then, one single, devastating battle changed everything.
The sheer scale of the slaughter during the Kalinga War just horrified him. Our sources tell us that over 130,000 people died. This event triggered this massive spiritual crisis, and it led Ashoka to convert to Buddhism and pretty much champion peace for the rest of his life.
1,500 years. Just let that number sink in for a second. What on earth could possibly last that long?
Well, the answer is the Chola dynasty, down in the south. To put that into perspective for you, while these other huge empires like the Mauryans lasted for about 137 years and the Guptas for around 230, the Cholas, they endured for a staggering millennium and a half. Just unbelievable. And they left behind this legacy of mind-blowing art and architecture.
So, after a period where things were a bit fragmented following those early empires, India entered a new phase of unity, and it was a truly remarkable cultural and scientific renaissance. A lot of people call it its golden age.
This was the time of the Gupta Empire. It was a period of immense prosperity. Yeah, but also incredible intellectual achievement. The advancements made during this time would literally go on to shape world history. This period was just an explosion of human genius. In literature, you had giants like Kalidasa. His plays and his poetry are still considered, to this day, the absolute high point of Sanskrit literature.
Then you jump over to mathematics, and you've got the brilliant Aryabhatta. This is the guy who gave the world the concept of zero. Think about that, a truly revolutionary idea. He also calculated the value of pi with stunning accuracy for his time.
And in the sciences, you had true polymaths, guys like Varahamihira, whose work in astronomy was just pushing the known boundaries of our understanding of the cosmos.
But hey, this wasn't just an age of intellect. It was also an age of raw power. Its key military figure was Samudragupta, a genius on the battlefield. They called him the Napoleon of India. He massively expanded the empire through conquest, but still, somehow, found the time to be a great patron of the arts.
But golden ages don't last forever. The next major chapter in the story was one of invasion and pretty massive disruption, which ushered in the era of the Delhi Sultanate.
The reign of Alauddin Khilji, in particular, brought just widespread destruction. Our sources detail these brutal attacks on major cultural sites like the Somnath Temple. The great library of Nalanda University, it was burned to the ground. An estimated 9 million irreplaceable manuscripts just lost forever. It's heartbreaking.
After the Sultanate period, a new powerhouse emerged, the Mughals, and their arrival set the stage for one of India's most defining conflicts, a real battle for India between the established Mughal Empire and this new, rising force from the West.
So, the Mughals ruled for over 300 years, and they left a really complex legacy. It's a mixed bag for sure. They brought gunpowder, which totally revolutionized warfare on the subcontinent. They established these strict systems of taxation like the zamindari. And oh yeah, our sources confirmed they also gifted India one of its most beloved dishes, biryani. So there's that.
But Mughal dominance was challenged, and challenged hard. From the west rose the Maratha Empire, led by the legendary warrior king Chhatrapati Shivaji.
He forged this incredibly powerful confederacy that reclaimed vast territories and established a formidable Hindu empire right in the heart of the subcontinent.
And this brings us to the final imperial chapter. With the Mughal Empire in decline and the Marathas rising as the top Indian power, a new player entered the game. They arrived first as traders, but they had ambitions of conquest.
The stage was set for a final showdown. On one side, you have the incumbent power, the Maratha Empire, and on the other, you have the technologically advanced and just ruthlessly ambitious British East India Company. Their conflicts would ultimately decide the fate of the entire subcontinent.
And British rule, which became known as the Raj, left behind a deeply contradictory legacy. I mean, it's really complicated. On one hand, it brought modernizing projects like the railway system and laid the foundations for some democratic institutions. But on the other hand, it inflicted these devastating events, like the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, crippling economic depression, and of course, the bloody partition of India in 1947.
But empire is never the final word. A powerful drive for freedom began to swell up, spearheaded by visionary leaders who mobilized millions of people. This nationwide movement for independence would signal the end of imperial rule for good.
So from the Mauryans to the British, India's history is this incredible cycle of empires rising, clashing, and falling, and each one left its mark. But after 3 millennia of being ruled by emperors and sultans and kings, India is finally its own master. Which leaves us with just one question: what does the next chapter